It's Tuesday, which means we have another tier list. And for today's tier list, we're going to be looking at all the antagonists in the big three, and we're going to be ranking them. I'm going to show you guys the tiers in a sec. Just remember, this is my opinion. Also, a lot of the smaller villains we're not going to have on here. Like, we're not having Mizuki versus fucking Django, okay? We're not going to have anything like that on here. So, yeah, mainly just the main villains of the big three. We're going to be having them go up against each other here. And let me show you guys the tiers. So as you can see in our top tier, we have Generational. This is a generational villain. They are just super goated. You could plop them in any show, they'd be amazing. Then we have good villains. You know, the villains are pretty solid. They're not necessarily generational, but pretty good. Mid speaks for itself. Bad, and Disgrace. This is like, why would you ever even write this into your story? This character is horrible. So we're going to get started here with Monet. And I'm going to be honest, Monet is bad in both senses. Sorry. But Monet is pretty bad because she doesn't really do a whole lot. She's barely in it. You know, you probably could have said that I probably didn't need to include her, but I thought she was a pretty big name, so I might as well put her in here, but she really doesn't do anything. She's not like the worst thing ever, but she is pretty bad. What else is bad is that most of you guys watching this video are not subscribed. Please make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, please. It helps me out a lot, and I upload anime videos 3 times a week. Also, I have my Twitch and TikToks and all that in the description as well if you want to see even more of me. But let's continue here. We have Katakuri. Katakuri is a good villain. I don't think he's generational, but he is good. He is one of the more in-depth villains in One Piece, and I think the reason why is because he's not necessarily a bad dude, and I feel like a lot of the villains in One Piece are just bad people, and Katakuri is not a bad guy, which I think is why a lot of people do really like Katakuri, because he's not a bad person, where most of the villains in One Piece are bad people. Then we'll move on to Crocodile. Crocodile is another good one. We are going to rank in the tiers. I'd actually have him above Katakuri. I find him a lot more interesting, mainly because he came back. If he didn't come back, I'd probably have Katakuri ahead. But the fact that Crocodile is still involved in the story, and he's came back twice now, I think it makes it a lot more interesting, as he's going to be a reoccurring character in the story. So not only was he probably the first really big villain for Luffy, but he also is going to be coming back for future appearances, which makes him great, that's why I put him in good. Next, we have Gaara. I think a lot of people would have Gaara in generational, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to have him in good. Now, here's my reasoning. Because Gaara is only a villain for the short time. Like, yes, he is, and I get that's probably a little unfair, because a lot of these villains aren't villains for long, because they're normally just in one arc, like Katakuri. However, I feel like to be generational, you've got to be a very big overarching villain. There's going to be very few cases where that's not the case. And maybe I'll move Gaara up to generational, but I just think he is only a villain for one arc. I feel like it is a little bit unfair to call him generational, especially when he then becomes a good guy. It's not like he disappears, so I feel like it's kind of hard to put him generational when he's not really the biggest villain, if that makes sense. Like, he was just a bad guy for a little bit, and then he became a good guy for majority. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave him in good for now. Maybe I'll move him up. Then we have Neutra, or that's how it's spelled, but I swear they call him Noritor. I don't know. He's pretty mid. The reason why is because he kind of just picks on people. Honestly, he just picks on people weaker than him, which I get, that's like his whole thing. But the second he had to fight Kenpachi, dude was he could not handle it. Also, he's pretty shallow character. There's not really much depth to him. I thought his fights were or at least the fight with Kenpachi was pretty cool. But other than that, I mean, there's not really much to him. He kind of just has a good fight, which I guess some people might put him in good, but he doesn't really do a whole lot. Then we'll head back to One Piece with Senor Pink. Now, for the meme, I do want to put him in generational, but let's be honest, we're just going to put him in good. He is actually a good villain. He has a lot of depth to him. I do believe Dressrosa is the best arc in One Piece for a lot of reasons, and the villains included. Senor Pink in Dressrosa is absolutely fantastic. He actually has a backstory, and they somehow make you care about this character who dresses up like a fat baby. Yeah, it's weird, but like, he is a super likable character, and he actually has a lot to him in the short amount of time he's on screen. Next up, we got, I don't even know how to say dude's name. He's a disgrace. Honestly, and I don't know if it's his fault, because if you watch my Big 3 fight video ranking, then you would know my opinion on him, and I think he has the worst fight in all of anime. Him versus Renji and Uryu is my least favorite fight I have ever seen in anything, and I don't know if it's his fault. It might be Uryu's fault, because I hate Uryu, so I don't know, but he certainly didn't help. Like, Uryu has other fights that are not the worst fights of all time, so yeah, I'm going to have him in disgrace, because his fights are all terrible. I don't care about his story at all. His story is super boring, super unlikable character, nothing really going for him. He's just super lame, one of the worst characters I've seen in any anime. Then we have York. I don't know if I'd call York a disgrace because it was needed for Egghead, but she is going to be in the bottom tier of bad. She is the biggest fraud. She is the girl that cried wolf. She just fucking sucks. She talks a big game, gets her ass beat. She sucks in every single metric, which, yes, is her point. But I feel like there could have been something cooler with her. Like, she could move down to disgrace, but there are genuinely way worse characters. So I don't think I'm going to put her down in disgrace, but she is a bad villain. Now we've got a character here you watch, and this is what I need to explain. If you watch the Big 3 video, you know I haven't watched 1000 Year Blood War yet. I have finished the original Bleach now, but 1000 Year Blood War I have not finished, so or started actually. So I don't know much about you watch. And so the ones that I don't know, I'm gonna just give him vibes. I mean, he seems like a pretty good villain. I'd probably put him there off the vibes. Like, he seems pretty cool, but he is a Quincy, so that he can't be generational. It's just not possible to be a Quincy and be a generational villain. Because I hate Quincy's. I don't want to say the other word because that's on a thin line. But yeah, just off vibes, I'd put you watching good. Next up, we have Buggy, and people are going to find this crazy, but I genuinely think Buggy is generational. And the reason why I think he's generational is because, similar to Crocodile, he's a reoccurring villain. However, not only is he a reoccurring villain and antagonist, he's in almost every single arc. He also has his own story going on. He's not just there to bug Luffy, and he has actually had a lot of success. He is now an emperor. Like, Buggy has his own little side story. It's not the most in-depth side story you could have from a villain. Like, we will see examples of that later on. But Buggy definitely has his own story going on. He's interesting every time he's on screen, and he adds a comedic value to the story, which is great. And he's somehow involved in everything, which is why he's going to be a generational villain, because he's always there. Next, we have Wapol from good old Drum Island. I know a lot of people hate Wapol, but he's just mid. I mean, he's not bad, he's not good. Doesn't really have a good fight, doesn't really have a bad fight. His personality is not good, not bad. Like, just overall, he's like a super mid character. It's not that he's involved little in the story, and he does come back later, but yeah, I think mid is pretty perfect for Wapol. He's like the definition of mid. Then we have Baragon, personally one of my favorite characters from Bleach. I absolutely love Baragon, and I love his fight with Soifon. It is fantastic. However, he does only have one fight, if I'm not mistaken, and it was a good fight. It's going to be a similar situation to Katakuri. I do like him more than Katakuri, but they're just in the story so little, and yes, their fights are really cool, but they're not like generational characters. But Baragon is sick. I do like him, and I would like to see him return. Moving on, we have Emu. Emu hasn't done anything yet, so I am just going to put Emu in mid by default. Can't really explain. I'm an anime only watcher. I know they've revealed some stuff about Emu in the manga, but I don't read the One Piece manga, so I don't know anything about that. So just gonna leave Emu in mid for now. Next, we have Aizen, and Aizen is tough because I am of the belief that Aizen is overrated. However, I think he still might go into generational. My reasoning for that is Aizen is super cool. He has great powers and is a great villain for Bleach. However, I think people overrate how smart he is. They always say he's like all these steps ahead and stuff. Who's he competing with? The only smart people in Bleach other than Aizen are who? Like Kisuke and maybe Shinji, right? Yeah, Shinji. Jeez, I'm bugging right now, but maybe Shinji. Like, a lot of the people in Bleach are just stupid, and then he didn't even have to outsmart what's his name, Kisuke, or anything like that to get him out the Soul Society. He just relied on how much of an idiot Yamamoto is. So, like, yes, Aizen is smarter than the average person in Bleach by far, but they act like he's super smart and all these steps ahead, when it's not hard to be all these steps ahead because the people you're competing with are dumb. So Aizen, yes, I do still think is generational. I am going to have him behind Buggy, though. I know people are going to call that crazy, but I don't really care. I do think Aizen is overrated. Also, he does a whole lot of standing around a lot of the times, and it pisses me off. Like, they show Aizen about every single arc in Bleach, and half the time he's doing nothing, and it's like, come on, bro, do something, move, like, be involved. Like, I don't know. I do like Aizen, though. It sounds like I'm hating on him. I don't hate Aizen. I like Aizen a lot. I think people just like him way more than they probably should, because he's not really that smart. Next up, we have Konan. I think Konan is a really good villain. Yeah, I'd put her above Senor Pink. Again, she really only has one important fight in the entire show, and although she is involved in a lot of the show, she's really kind of just more of a background character until her fight with Toby. But her fight with Toby is genuinely beautiful. It is one of the best fights in all of Naruto. It is a fantastic fight. In general, in any anime, it is genuinely a really good fight. So, yeah, she goes into good for a very good reason. Then we have King. This is similar to what we talked about earlier with Katakuri and Konan and stuff. I would actually have him below Konan, although Zoro versus King is definitely a better fight than Toby versus Konan. Just being honest here, Toby versus Konan was a lot more important to the story, and Konan in general was a lot more important to the story. Yes, King mattered, but like I don't know, it just wasn't really as important as a lot of the other characters on here, which is why I'm gonna have him a little bit lower. But his fight with Zoro is genuinely amazing. Then we have Mihawk, the fraud who paints his sword black. Like, yes, he's technically a villain, but he hasn't done anything yet, so I think I'm still going to put him in good. I'm going to put him at the bottom of good. Now, I know I just said he hasn't done anything, but here's the reason why he's still going into good. I personally believe the best fight in One Piece to this day is still Zoro versus Mihawk, like one of the first fights in the entire show. It is my favorite fight in all of One Piece. And so Mihawk was a part of that, but since then, has he done anything? Not really. But still, that's like my favorite fight in One Piece, so I'm going to have him in good for now. However, he's a reoccurring character who does nothing, which is why he goes a little bit lower. Next up, we have Aokiji. And Aokiji's tough because we're still in the middle of his story. I think by the time it's all said and done, he genuinely could be a generational villain. However, we just don't know. Is he even a villain anymore? Like, we don't really know much about Aokiji right now, so it's kind of hard to say. He could end up in generational, but seriously have no clue. I'm going to put him above Yhwach. It's going to be one that we'll just have to wait and see on Aokiji. Next up, we have Apoo. Apoo is a disgrace, although Apoo definitely is better than pink-haired dude, Salazzle, whatever his name is. I hate Apoo. He's not likable in any sense, which I get he's supposed to be unlikable. He is a villain. Also, if you're wondering where some villains are missing, I got these all from their official wikis. However, some characters I didn't include, like for the One Piece, they had Eustace Kid as a villain. I'm sorry, he's not really a villain to the main cast, so didn't count characters like that. And they had Killer on there. Yes, I know Killer fought Zoro, but that was literally like a 5-second fight, and Killer did not want to do that anyway, so it doesn't really count. I'm gonna say no. But Apoo is genuinely a villain. He is so annoying too. I hate Apoo. His power is annoying. He's annoying. His importance in the story is pretty much nothing. I feel like Apoo adds nothing to One Piece. Now, he probably will eventually, but I really hope not. I don't want to see him again. Like, I hate Apoo. He is a terrible character. Absolute disgrace. Next we have Arrow Nero. He's responsible for Rukia's best fight for sure, but the character himself, I'm not gonna lie, is mid. I'll put him at the top of mid because the fight versus Rukia genuinely elevates Rukia a lot. However, Arrow Nero himself, just do not care. Like, seriously do not care about this character whatsoever, but not a bad character and definitely somewhat decent because he did elevate Rukia so much. Next up we have Bombietta. Alright, this is another one off vibes. I had her in Anime Adventures and she sucked, so I'm gonna give her mid. I don't really know though, haven't got to that yet, but we'll move on to Big Mom. I actually do think Big Mom is bad, and now I've gotten to this argument with a few of my friends who, you know, also like One Piece, and they're like, Big Mom's not a bad villain, whatever, she's supposed to be unlikable. Her whole backstory is stupid. Like, that is why I think she's a bad character. Like, her whole reasoning for doing everything, her whole backstory, everything like that is dumb. She makes no sense as a character. She has the soul fruit. Yeah, that somehow makes her a fat ass where she just eats living people for no reason, and then she develops this giant family that she never uses. Like, she did this whole thing with Kaido, didn't bring a single one of them, thought she could handle it on her. Like, Big Mom just is a character that genuinely makes no sense in any sense of the way. I get it, she's supposed to be an idiot, and she is an idiot, but like, her character just makes no sense. Everything she does makes no sense. Even we saw her die. Now, if you're going to be one of the people that's like, oh, she didn't die or whatever, but like, how is Zeus still alive? Like, I don't understand that. The Big Mom doesn't make sense as a character whatsoever. I just don't get it. So she's a bad character because she just doesn't make sense in so many different ways. Next up, we have Black Maria. I mean, honestly, I'm going to put it at bad again. Yes, it gave Robin a new transformation, but Black Maria served zero importance to the story other than giving Robin a new transformation, which is literally unnecessary. Not only that, her character was incredibly boring. She was lame. Her fight wasn't even good until Robin started putting belt to ass, and that was all Robin carrying. Black Maria, genuinely, if they omitted her from the story, I don't think it could be any worse. Like, I think it'd be the exact same. Super lame character. Next up, we have Uryu, genuinely the worst character in all of anime. I made a video on it a long time ago, so I'm not going to explain everything, but Uryu is genuinely my least favorite character in the entirety of fiction. Makes sense why I'm going to put him at the bottom of Disgrace. Yeah, if you want a extensive reasoning, I made a whole video about it, so yeah, not going to talk about it here. Next, we have Caesar Clown. I like Caesar, okay? He's a likable guy. His importance to the story, he doesn't have a whole lot. His fights, not very good. But he's a funny guy. He is a funny guy. I give him mid, but I want to put him good just because he's funny. But let's be honest, he's not really a good villain. We'll move on to Danzo. People hate Danzo, but that's by design, and I hate Danzo too. Like, Danzo's a piece of shit, but he's, like, it's good for the story. However, I'm still going to put him mid. It's similar to Eren Niero. Like, his whole purpose is to just give moments to other people, and his character isn't the best. It's not necessarily bad, and a lot of the stuff he does just, like, straight up gets omitted. Like, he became Hokage, and that was never official, which is weird because he was the Hokage. I don't know. A lot of stuff with Danzo is just, like, he's just there to make Sasuke look cool, let's be honest. But next we'll move on to Dofi. And honestly, this might be the only one, I can't say for sure, but this might be the only character from One Piece that gets generational. And I know people may find that a little crazy. However, the thing with Dofi that gives him generational is that he is kind of like Kid Buu, but human. You know, Kid Buu is like the definition of pure evil, and I would not put Kid Buu as a generational villain because he is just evil and nothing else. Dofi is also pretty much just evil. However, he still feels like a human, so like actual evil, like not just a ball of evil like Boo, like with nothing else going on other than being pure evil. Dofi is pure evil, but he has everything else a human has, which is why I have him in generational. He's not like a super in-depth character or anything, but I think just like the amount of like evilness, I've used that word so much it's pissing me off, but he is just incredibly like bad, like he really is, and it feels like something that's realistic as well. It's not just like evil just to be evil, like it's rooted in him, so that's why I have him as generational. Next we have Don Krieg, obviously the GOAT. No, I'm just kidding. Don Krieg, you know, all the memes are there, but he's actually not that bad. Like, I do prefer him over Wapol, but again, not that important, super short fight, but I like this fight with Luffy. It was pretty good. Then we have Obito Uchiha. This is genuinely a generational villain for sure. This is somebody who has appeared multiple times throughout the story, through multiple identities. Super funny character, super likable character, great backstory, great sad moments with him, great fights with him. Like, anything you could want out of a villain, Obito has. Like, there are very few characters who have what Obito has. And on this list, you know, there might maybe be one. I don't know. We'll have to see. But next we'll move on to Deidara. Although Deidara gets memed a lot, he is a good villain, if I'm being honest. I'd probably put him just behind Senior Ping. Now, the reason why Deidara only gets this high, again, not a super in-depth character, not necessarily the most likable character either, doesn't have the backstory or anything, but all of his fights are really good. And I think that's honestly super important as a villain, especially in a shonen like the big three. One of the most important things, if not the most important things, is have good fights, and Deidara only has good fights. Now, he isn't, like I said, the most interesting character, the most likable character, this, and that, but he does have really good fights, so he'll go in good. Next, we have Haku. Now, you know, you guys may say that the tiers are getting flooded, because Haku is also going to go in good. But here's the thing. This is the big three we're talking about. I mean, these are three of the most legendary anime ever. The villains should all be really high. And Haku I'm going to have really high as well. Just a very super emotional villain. Honestly, a complete curveball in Naruto, let's be honest. The first real curveball type character. We all thought it was a woman, let's be honest. But Haku's super cool. Has a really cool ability. Introduced the blood... they're called the Kekkei Genkai, but I forgot what it translates to. It's like the blood abilities, like your family lineage has abilities or whatever. Introduced the first one of those, which is really cool. Super important to the story. Kicks off the starting arc for Naruto, which is still one of the greatest arcs in Naruto. The Land of Waves is incredible, and Haku plays a big role in that. Next, we have Kimimaro. Ooh. Honestly, I'm going to put him top of mid. Relatively important to the story. Cool fights, cool power, everything like that. And so I know a lot of people like him a lot and think he should go in good. My problem with him is, from the jump, you know he is literally slated to die, like, in a month. Like, you know he's going to die. So anything he does doesn't really matter. So that's why I have him in mid, because, like, as soon as you're introduced to him, all right, you know he's going to die. So it's, like, great. Like, you know, what's really the purpose of him? So, yeah, I'm just going to have him top of mid. He does a lot of cool stuff. Next, we have Stark. Stark is genuinely a bad character. I'm going to put him in bad. And now, a lot of people like Stark, and they're going to think this is crazy. Stark has a likable personality, which is the only reason, honestly, he doesn't go into disgrace. If Stark was not likable, he'd be a horrible character. He is the strongest Espada, other than Yami or whatever. And people like to make the dumbass argument about Okiura. Okiura's number did not change. He is not stronger. Anyway, Stark is the strongest guy other than Yami. Which, by the way, I don't think Yami was included on here. I do apologize. I didn't see him on the wiki. Whatever, besides the point. Stark, though, he is the strongest Espada. He is. People want to disagree, but that's just not true. He is the strongest Espada, yet he got whooped pretty easily. And I get it, he was going against Shinsui or whatever, but Shinsui didn't even use Bankai? Yeah, he didn't use his Bankai or anything like that. Stark didn't even really try. He gave up pretty quickly. Like, he definitely could have kept going, but he just let it all go. Yeah, for being the strongest Espada, he did not put up a good fight at all. Not only was the fight not interesting, but he lost pretty easily. It's not even like it was a close fight. It was a boring fight, and it was a quick fight. And he just gave up and lost. That's pretty much what happened with Stark. He is lame. Next, we have Gin. I'm not gonna lie, I think Gin is so overrated too. I don't really like him at all, and he really only has one important fight in the entirety of the show. I'm gonna put him mid. He's honestly similar to Neutra or whatever, however you say it. And his fight honestly wasn't even that good. Like, Gin is just so... he's just there to be there. Like, they try to make him feel important, and he's just totally not. If Gin wasn't there, like, I feel like nothing would change. Like, he's just not really important. So I'm gonna put him in mid. Next, we have Absalom. Absalom is hilarious. Don't get me wrong. He is a funny character. As a villain, though, he's got to go into bad. He is funny, but it's such a waste of time even having him in the story. Like, such a waste. But he is funny, I guess. Next, we have Bellamy. I do like Bellamy a lot, but let's be honest, Bellamy serves almost zero importance in the story. Bellamy also isn't really great. He has good fights and a cool personality, so I will put him in mid, but he's not really the best villain, even though I do like Bellamy. Next, we have Jesus Burgess. This is another character who hasn't done a whole lot yet. We've seen little bits of it in Dressrosa, but that's pretty much it. This is another character similar to Emu, just hasn't really done a whole lot yet. At the end, now that we have to scroll, I'll show you guys everything. But we have Gecko Moria. I actually do like Gecko Moria. The problem with him is, like, he just feels misplaced, I guess. Like, he's so far out of his prime at this point. It's hard to put him above mid. Like, I want to because I did enjoy Thriller Bark, but, like, I'm gonna be honest, it's hard to put him above mid. He's so far out of his prime. He's kind of washed unk trying to keep up with the new gens and couldn't really do it. I'm just gonna put him in mid. Next, we have Duval, obviously generational. No, Duval actually is not very important, similar to Bellamy, but I actually think Duval is pretty cool. I'll put him at the bottom of mid just because I can't put him bad. Like, he's a cool guy. Next up, we have Eneru. I love Eneru a lot, and if he comes back, he will be generational. And so the people that skip Skypiea, I don't get, because you're genuinely missing out on a probably top 3 villain in One Piece. I don't know if there are 3 villains better than Eneru, which, although I am going to put him under Aokiji, like I said, we just don't really know if he's still a villain. I'm going to put Eneru there, just right behind Aokiji. He's genuinely a phenomenal villain, and the people that skip Skypiea, you are really missing out on an incredible character. I do hope he comes back, though, because that would make him generational. Then we have Foxy, Disgrace. I absolutely hated the Foxy arc, and then I learned it was filler, and I could skip it, and now it's canon all of a sudden, which I did end up watching all of it anyway, but I found out later that it wasn't canon, and I could have skipped it, and then they did make it canon. I'm like, what the hell? So, I guess I'm glad I watched it. I don't know. Horrible arc. Horrible, horrible, horrible arc. Foxy's terrible. Next, we have Grimmjow, my goat, my favorite villain in One Piece. I'm going to put Grimmjow, or I'm in Bleach, not One Piece. Oh, he's kind of tied with Dofi. I'm actually going to put him ahead of Dofi because he does reoccur in the story at least a little bit. And the reason why I like Grimmjow so much more than every other character in Bleach is because he's the only character that is, like, scaled properly at all, if that makes sense. For example, Aizen. Everybody Aizen fights. Aizen is way stronger than, for the most part. Even when he fights Ichigo, he's stronger than Ichigo, but Ichigo had to use Kisuke to help, right? Like, every other villain in Bleach is always fighting people that are either weaker than them or way stronger. Like, there's no even fights in Bleach. However, that's not the case with Grimmjow. Grimmjow is, like, pretty much equal with Ichigo. So every time they fight, it is a phenomenal fight because they're equals. Like, they are actually really close in power. And almost every other Bleach fight cannot be the same. Every other Bleach fight is like one side is way stronger, one side is way weaker. But not with Grimmjow. Grimmjow, and it's the main character too, so it's obviously more important. But Grimmjow versus Ichigo is probably the closest fight in the entire anime. Everything else is so one-sided, I feel like, or you know who's going to win pretty easily. Grimmjow could have won against Ichigo. He honestly could have. Like, that is such a close fight. That's why I have him in generational, and obviously his personality is fantastic as well, but he's like the best villain power-wise for Bleach. I get Aizen needs to be super overpowered or whatever for him to be the main villain, but if you're talking about a reoccurring villain that's going to get a lot of fights, Grimmjow is literally perfect. Like, he's an equal to Ichigo. Next up, we have Hanzo. Hanzo is bad, genuinely bad. Not worse than Stark, but man, super unlikable guy. Kind of a fraud, if we're being honest. Nagato came back, spin the block, and whooped his ass. Even when he gets reanimated, still a fraud. Like, Hanzo just sucks. Like, he's just not good. Next, we have Madara. Madara is going to go number one. To me, Madara is the greatest villain in all of anime. He has literally everything you could want in a villain. Like, there's nothing missing from Madara, which is why I do think he's generational and why I think he is the best villain in all of anime, because he has everything. You can't look at a attribute that should be with a villain and Madara does not have it. Madara literally has it all. He has everything you could ever want from a villain. He's got it. So again, I could go over every single little detail about him, but yeah, I would like to see in the comments if you guys disagree. Like, I get you might not have Madara as number one, but like, what is he missing? Because I don't think he's missing a thing. Like, he's genuinely phenomenal in every sense. So, best villain ever. Next we have Hidan. Hidan gets a lot of hate, but I actually do like Hidan. I think he's pretty good. I would just put him above Mihawk. I'm not going to put him above Haku because I think Haku's a lot more important to the overall story. Yes, I get Hidan was important with the Shikamaru stuff, but to the overall story, that, you know, no offense, awesome moment doesn't really matter. So yeah, Hidan's just going to go into good. He is a good villain. Very fun, in my opinion, to watch, but yeah, that's about it. Next we have Kisame. Kisame is another good villain. Again, a reoccurring villain, very important to the story, and he is, I'd actually put him in between Eneru and Aokiji. All of his fights are great. His personality is great. He's one of the remaining 7 swordsmen, which is really cool, because they hyped that up from the start of the show, and all of the swords are like freaking awesome, and Kisame being one of them is still sick as well. Also, he uses water jutsu, which we didn't really see much except from Zabuza, so again, really cool. Kisame just, again, involved in a lot of the story. Very cool character, so he gives him good. Next, we have Indra. This is obviously a flashback, which makes it a lot less meaningful, I guess. But it's a flashback like hundreds of years ago. I want to put him into good because I do like Indra, but I'll be honest. Yes, he's super important to the story, but like this, I feel like he just has to go mid. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but yeah, I'm just going to put Indra mid and move on. Not a great explanation, I know. Itachi, generational. Itachi is one of the best villains ever. There's so much shit inspired because of Itachi. So much stuff that Itachi has done has become generational in anime. The whole thing about the Uchiha clan massacre, that is one of the most important moments in anime history. That has inspired so much, from the fucking moon to the types of betrayal to villains not being as bad. Like, Itachi was really one of the first big villains to show that, like, you could be a good guy and a villain, if that makes sense, because there are other villains that have showed good sides, right? Like Toguro, for example, from Yu Yu Hakusho, but Toguro is a bad person. Although Itachi killed a lot of people, it could be argued he's still a good person. Like, it is very difficult to say with him. Like, he is such a complex character and really has inspired so many after him, which obviously if you've seen Naruto, you know, you probably agree. So he goes generational. Next we have Jugo. I think Jugo's okay. Not bad, I guess, but like maybe between Gin and Noitro or whatever. Now we have Jobaro, something like that. I can't remember. He's not good. He's definitely the worst out of the Sound 4 or whatever. And yeah, Choji didn't help him seem cooler. Kabuto used to get a lot of hate, I feel like, but I think he's a good villain. I think he goes above Konan. Yes, he is more important to the story than some of the people ahead of him. However, there are times where he's not the most interesting guy in the world, which is why he is still going to be good, but he's not going to go higher. Because yes, he has good fights. He has some mid fights as well, and he has some times where he's mediocre, so that's why he's going to go there. Oh, sorry. I almost put her below Uryu, which would have been wrong. But Kaguya is one of the worst characters in all of anime. If you've watched Naruto, sorry, there's going to be spoilers here if you have not seen it, but Kaguya ruins the ending of Naruto. And there are people who disagree with that, and I don't get it. Somebody on my page, by the way, once said they were a big Kaguya fan. How? Kaguya literally ruins the entire thing that Naruto built up. The entirety of Naruto is built up to the Madara fight. Literally from day one. Like, the Nine-Tails thing, that was Madara and Obito. That is built up to day one to fight Madara. The whole show is built up to fight Madara, and they are fighting Madara, and it's going good, and you have a really close fight between Sasuke, Naruto, and Madara. Like, this is so close. Like, it could go either way. The only two people other than Might Guy to be able to actually even touch him, like, this is going somewhere. and then he gets betrayed out of nowhere for Kaguya to come back to life, and the entire world, by the way, could barely put a scratch on Madara, and Kaguya lost to 5 people. 5. 2 of them which did nothing. I'm gonna be honest, Kakashi and Sakura were not really that useful. It was pretty much Obito, Sasuke, and Naruto doing all the work, and she lost to really 5 people. Madara was winning against the entire world. Now, I know there's the argument that he wrote Madara too strong, that Madara couldn't have been the final boss, but I don't care. Madara needed to be the final boss. Kaguya coming in just ruins the entire ending and ruins a lot of Naruto for a lot of people. Like, I know I have a friend who said that, like, that genuinely puts the show so much lower for him. Like, Naruto's still my favorite show, but he said he'd regard it way higher if it ended with Madara, and I agree. I think it would be a perfect show if it ended with Madara. I think there's no real complaints about it, but Kaguya's terrible. Next we have Kaido. Kaido's overrated just because he's a dragon. Don't get me wrong, dragons are cool, and Kaido's still a good character, but yeah, I'd probably just put him above Crocodile. I mean, he's a good character, but he gets overrated just because his fruit's really cool. And don't get me wrong, it is really cool, but he's also just a fucking drunk who likes to fight. That's pretty much all he does. Next we move on to Kakuzu. Kakuzu, I think he has to go mid. He's just kind of boring. His fights are cool and his lore is cool, but his personality is just pretty dull. And we move on to Tosen. I mean, Tosen's like similar to Gin, a big fraud, and I think Tosen is a lot more lame than Gin. I'd actually put him in bad. I get he has some importance to the story, but all of his fights suck. Super lame character again, kind of like Gin, built up to be very important, but not that important. I don't like Tosen at all. He just sucks. Next we have Karin. I used to not like her, but after rewatching the show, she's not that bad. But I'm just gonna put her in mid. She's not great by any means. Next we have Kidomaru, another of the Sound 4. Definitely way better than Jirobo. I remembered his name. Definitely way better, but not a super good character by any means. I'd put him just above Wapol. Next we have Kizaru. Oh, Kizaru is tough because I don't think anybody likes Kizaru that is caught up, because he is such a pussy. He is such a big pussy. Yes, you probably do enjoy his power if you do say you like Kizaru. His power is sick. Kizaru himself is a pussy. He is, like, and does that make him a bad character? No, because, like, yes, he is a pussy or whatever, but he's not a bad character. It's just annoying, I think. I think it's just a little annoying. I'll put him in good. I'm going to put him in at the bottom of good because it is really annoying how much of a baby he is. Next we move on to Orochi. Orochi is pretty bad. Yes, he at least served a purpose to the story in Wano. However, again, another character super annoying, super unlikable, which I get doesn't necessarily make him bad, but I do feel like Orochi's importance slowly went away as soon as the fight with Kaido started. As soon as the fight with Kaido starts, whoever wins that is just the ruler. Like, Orochi was a figurehead for a while before they reveal everything's pretty much ran through Kaido. And then you find out, and then it's like, alright, he's not really that important. Yes, they have this little side story about Momonosuke or whatever versus Orochi, like, trying to get the family lineage back. It ain't about the family lineage, if we're being honest. Even if they whooped Orochi or whatever and took out all of Orochi's people, it's still gonna be ran by Kaido, which is like, he really didn't matter. I don't know. And not a likable guy either. I'm gonna put him in bad. Next we have Magellan. Magellan's gonna go in mid because I feel like he's like opposite of Kakuzu. His fights are not important, and but he is a cool personality, a cool character, but he's probably never going to show up again, which sucks. He introduces, like, an ability that Luffy can actually lose to, and I just don't think we'll see him again, which sucks, and he didn't really do a whole lot then. Next we have Nagato / Pain. Oh, I think Pain is generational, but I'll put him at the bottom. I do think that Pain gets a little overrated as well. I love Pain, and I love the Pain arc, but I do think it does get a little overrated, and I'm not sure why, because I do think it's good, but a lot of people have that as the best Naruto arc, which I think is just wrong, or have him as the best Naruto villain, which again, I think is just wrong. I think a super great character, definitely a generational villain, but just not above anybody else there. Next we have Perona. I do like Perona a lot, mainly just for her personality. Her importance is little to none, so I might put her mid. She's kind of like Magellan. But she will come back, I have a feeling. I think she'll be back in the story at other points, because we have seen her a little bit. But I think she'll come back with some importance, but until then, she's just mid. Then we have Pika. I honestly think Pika's just stupid. The voice was funny, sure, but the personality sucked. His power is kind of broken, and he lost to swords. Like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, he's just a bum. Sakon and Yukon.
they're not that good either. I'll put them just above Jirobo. Then we have Queen. I don't like Queen at all. Although the fight was good, I think Queen as a character sucks. Like, Queen, his personality is just garbage. Like, it's not even something we talked about with, like, other characters being like Kizaru. Like, Kizaru is a bitch. Like, he is. But that doesn't make him a bad character. Queen's personality does make him not a good character because it is pointless. His personality is just shit. I'd put him... You can go behind Duval. Like, he's not a bad character, but his personality is horrible. Then we have Lucci. I'm not going to lie. I think people are not going to like where I rank Lucci, but Lucci is a fraud. He really is. His only good fight is the first fight with Luffy. His personality's not cool. He sucks. He's a fraud. He loses literally everything else because he's not really that strong. I'm not going to put him in bad. I'm just going to put him above Don Krieg. Like, he has one good fight. Don't get me wrong. That fight is really good, but... he kind of sucks. Like, Lucci's just not really interesting at all. We'll move on to Sasori. I like Sasori a lot. One of the better members of the Akatsuki for sure. Definitely better than Deidara, better than Senior Pink, better than King. And that's probably where it ended. Sasori is very important because he's the first extensive look we have at an Akatsuki member and what makes the Akatsuki. And he really introduces us to, like, these guys might not be bad people. Or bad. I mean, they are bad people, but, like, they might not be horrible. Like, I think... something a lot of shows struggle with, and One Piece has the struggle. I feel like Bleach not as much, but Bleach does in some cases as well. But like a lot of the characters, the villains have to be horrible people. Like, they have to be pure villainy. Like Doflamingo, he is pure evil. But like in the case with Naruto that I like about a lot of the characters with Sasori, he is a bad guy. There's no getting that mixed up. But he has redeemable qualities. Like, and I think a lot of shows struggle to do that. Like Eneru, I love Eneru in One Piece. He doesn't have redeemable qualities. Aokiji might, I don't know. Kaido, no redeemable qualities. Crocodile, no redeemable qualities. Baragon, no redeemable qualities. And so I think that's like, it was important to see that from Sasori because it really introduced us to the villains that are also people. And I think a lot of shows really struggle to make their villains seem human. And Sasori was a great introduction to that. Next up, we have Sasuke. Obviously, Sasuke is going to go generational. I'd put him above Itachi. I know this has seemed like Naruto get glazed, and I love Naruto. Personally, in my opinion, I think Naruto is the best villains out of anything ever. I think it's hard to debate, honestly. They're super in-depth, and there's not many shows that have the length of Naruto to produce as many. The common one I see is Bleach, and Bleach does have some great villains, but I don't think they compare to Naruto. So, yeah, Sasuke, pretty self-explanatory. I mean, a lot of people regard him as the best deuteragonist of all time. Next, we move on to Suigetsu. I like Suigetsu a lot, mainly personality-wise, and he's he's one of the 7 swordsmen, which is really cool. But his importance isn't that crazy. I'll put him behind Mihawk, actually. He doesn't have a lot of importance, but very likable guy, 7 swordsman as well, kind of carrying on a little bit of the OG Naruto, which is great. Then we have Sugar. Sugar gets a bad rep, but I do think Sugar is a good villain. She actually makes a lot of Dressrosa really interesting and makes Dressrosa super unique. I would actually put her just above Hidan. Like, she is very good at improving the story, but her personality is not that great. Then we have Tayuya, my favorite of the Sound 4 by far, but if we're being honest, all the Sound 4 are mid. I'd put her above Lucci. I like her a lot. She's pretty cool. Her fight is really good too. Then we have Blackbeard. This is another character who hasn't done a whole lot of anything, yet he's been in the story a whole lot, but he ain't doing a whole lot. I'll be honest, Blackbeard's so over. Like, I see a lot of people be like, oh, Blackbeard's such a great villain, but he hasn't done a thing. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's good. I'll be honest. I'd put him behind Indra. I mean, Indra in the, 13 episodes he's in is far more important to the story than Blackbeard so far. Blackbeard has barely done anything, so, yeah, the only thing he really did that mattered was kill Whitebeard. Next, we have Haribel. I mean, how do you look bad fighting Toshiro? That's a free win. I'll put her in bad. Ulquiorra, I'm not gonna lie, Ulquiorra is another super overrated character. That fight with Ichigo, I'm sorry, this is gonna piss a lot of people off. Not that good. It just is not that good. The fight lasts like an episode and a half. And I'm sorry, if the fight was longer, it had potential to be amazing. But the problem with it is the first half of the fight, which is like half an episode, is Ichigo getting his ass whooped. The second fight of the episode is Ichigo getting an ass pull power up and then dog walking Ulquiorra. The fight's not close a single time, and it's annoying. It's not good. And then people like it because like, oh, Ulquiorra, he filled the hole in his heart. No, he didn't, dude. What he did was the equivalent of people on their deathbed starting to believe in Jesus, okay? Like, he ain't do nothing right, okay? And he started developing that before the fight, so I don't really care. I mean, I don't. He doesn't really do anything. He has no personality. The only good thing about Ulquiorra is that he was nice to Orihime, I guess. But Orihime's a dumbass anyway, and put herself in that situation because she's dumb as fuck. So, yeah, I'm gonna put him mid. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really like Ulquiorra. I don't think he's all that important. I'd actually take Kimimaro over Ulquiorra. I do think he is super overrated. Next up, though, we have Ulti. I mean, Ulti is horrible. Worst character in One Piece, hands down. I don't think there's a single positive about her. Pretty simple. Zabuza is a generational villain, but he is not in it for long. I'd put him just above Pain. He is generational. He is probably, if you look at every starting arc for every anime, he might be the best villain of all time, like for starting anime. Now, I know people might say Mizuki. I wouldn't really count that. That's a first episode villain, I feel like, not really first arc. The first arc of Naruto is Land of Waves, and Zabuza is by far the best, like, opening villain to any show, in my opinion. So I'm gonna put him in generational. Then we have Zetsu. I mean, Zetsu's a part of the Kaguya thing, but Zetsu has some redeemable factors because he is pretty enjoyable outside of the whole Kaguya thing. So I am going to put him in mid, but he's going to be towards the bottom because he did aid with the Kaguya stuff, which sucked. Now, you guys can pause and look at this, but if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hype the video, help me out and stuff. You know, all my links in the description. I upload anime videos 3 times a week, like I said, so if you want to see more anime content, just make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Hope to see you guys in a future one. Peace.